Hey everybody, it's Pam here, Desert Homestead, Family Desert Homestead. Desert Family Homestead, let me get the name right. um, it's January 2021. You know, as a kid, when I'd hear turn of the century, I thought back to when the 1800s became the 1900s. I actually lived through a turn of the century. And it's like, wow, it's mind-boggling. When you hear 2021, you know, when you, as a kid, you know, I never thought I would be alive in the 2000s. It didn't register with me that it really wasn't that far away. So I was born in 1965. Not afraid to tell you how old I am. Get the sun glare out of there. And it's just amazing to me. But this year, January 2021, the night temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. Low 40s. High 30s, low 40s. Right now. Daytime temperatures. This week we've been in the 70s for daytime highs. I cannot believe that. So, if you have garden beds, raised beds, pots, whatever, in ground, that you're thinking about planting in this year, now is your time to start getting them ready. Now. Add your amendments. Do you need to add more soil? Get them filled up. Get them, you know, with the soil and stuff. Start looking at what seeds you want. If you're going to be planting straight from seeds in the ground, start looking at what seeds you're going to plant in the ground for your plants. Like melons, okra, things like that. Start planting those now. Thinking about them. Get your garden plan. I made a map before garden season was over last year. And I mapped out how I want to plant because I didn't get my garden house done. Time, finances, life. It's just not happening for my garden house for this year. Hopefully next year I'll have it. If not, I'll just keep making and utilizing the best out of my garden that I have here with all my raised beds and my pots. And I sat down in here. I mean, it wasn't the best map. I'm not an artist. That's my husband's job. I'm not an artist. My husband can draw. And I drew out my garden, put my beds in, and I wrote down on each bed what I wanted to plant. How much I wanted to plant on each. So tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to be in my new greenhouse, and I'm going to get everything. I got a video for that too. And I'm going to get all my seedlings started that I need to get started. And I'm going to start getting all my beds filled up that need soil added to them. I've got some fertilizer to add to it. And just to help with my garden to produce better next year and stuff. Got a little bit of fencing work to do to help keep the rabbits out and stuff. So I'll have my son out here helping me get that done. But now is your time to start planning and figuring out. The weather is beautiful here in the desert. So get out there and start getting your beds ready. If you're doing pots, start getting your pots filled up. Get some fertilizer in them. Get the soil in them. Mix it up good so that they're already all blended up, and you don't, when it's time to plant, you don't have to worry about that. That work's already done for you. And then, plus you're outside in the fresh air, creating your own vitamin D, getting some vitamin C from the sun. I mean, what more can you ask, right? Plus, when it comes time to plant, all you have to do is plant. You don't have to do the hard physical labor of getting everything prepared and ready to plant because you've already done all of that. So your planting time will be faster and you won't be quite as sore. Because I know that's one thing that I always have happen. When it's time to I usually get my beds ready and then I get sore and everything, and then I start planting and I'm sore from bending over, from crawling around on my knees for you know, just the physical work of doing it. But when I lay my head on my pillow at night after planting in my garden and working in my garden, it's a good tired. and I feel really good, and I sleep good too on those days. I don't know if it's the physical work, the fresh air and sunshine, having my hands in the dirt, you know, doing the hard physical labor, or it's probably a combination of all of it. But I feel good, even though I'm sore and tired, and I sleep good. So that is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today. Oh, that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about today. It is time to start getting your garden beds ready. If you've still got plants in from last summer's garden and they're dead, start pulling them out. And if like my zucchini plant is still in the bed, and basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to work it into the soil, because it's all dried up, it's already decomposing and everything. So I'm just going to work it into the soil because it's adding nutrients to my soil. And that's one thing that you want to do with your dead plants. Utilize them. Utilize them as nutrients for your soil, because plants need nutrients. They need nutrients, and we have to, here in the desert, we have to add those nutrients, and we have to add a lot of nutrients because our soil just does not have much in it. So I'm going to be getting my asparagus bed this month. I'm going to finish getting it all divided up and done. That I am dividing on it. I'm not dividing all my plants. They don't need to be. Getting that done. I still have garlic going, which I'm going to do a video on what I have. And my cherry tomato plants are still producing tomatoes for me. I get about a handful of them, but hey, it's still fresh tomatoes from the garden. And they are ones that I planted last February. So yeah, we haven't had very many freezing temperatures. Just a few. And I came out and covered them up, and it helped. I mean, the plants don't look the best, but hey, they're still producing tomatoes, so I'm not going to complain about that, and neither does my family. But start planting your garden, people. Start working. Get your pots set up. If you're doing pots, like I said, get them set up. Get figured out where you're placing all your pots. Get them in place. Get them filled up with the soil and your fertilizer, so your garden spot is ready when it is time to plant. If you're doing raised beds, start building them now. If you haven't built them already, start building your raised beds, because one, you're going to spread the cost out. You're going to have your beds, the cost of your beds now, and then you'll have the cost of the soil and all of that going into them at another time. You won't have to, if you can't do it all at one time, do your beds now. Weather's nice for outside building, so you do that. And then, so next month then you get your soil. And you put your soil in. Look on Craigslist, look on Facebook groups for the buy-sell trades, and see if anybody has clean fill dirt, mulch, things like that you can get for free to help fill your beds up. If I was starting with all my beds from scratch and didn't have soil here to utilize, I would find a load of clean fill dirt, and I would buy some bags of potting soil, garden soil, whatever it was I could afford, and I would put the clean fill dirt in and mix in the bags of soil also. So that way you're having both, and put some fertilizer in it. We happen to live close to a dairy. I can go down and get a truckload of manure from them. They'll load, if I have them load it with their bucket, it's $20 to fill my truck bed full of cow manure. Yeah, that's not really expensive when you think about the amount of manure that I would get. Luckily, I have my own manure makers here, my own fertilizer plant going on with all the animals we have. But mix some of that in, but don't mix fresh. And if you're going to do it now, you can put steer manure, cow manure, whatever. You can put that in. You can also put chicken manure in your garden now too, in your garden bed. Mix it in. So it'll heat up and it won't burn your plants when it's time for you to plant, because that process will already be done. So, but now is the time to get your beds ready. Start working on that, because before we know it, February will be here, the middle of February, mid to late February, and that's when I plant my garden, because that's when the temperatures are at their optimum for planting for my spring and summer garden. So, I will see you all in another video. God bless.